I'm here fighting for black kids, and I'm fighting for all kids too. Because what this means to me,
we don't discriminate.
I'm talking about it. Because the land, what is that? The mercury and the adjuvants and the neurotoxins do not discriminate based on color. They put the human body in a way that is detrimental, and until they get the message, we're going to be out here. We're going to be standing, and we're going to be standing up for the lives, for the future of this country and this world. And until we solve these problems, we got a lot more work to do up here on this and not to pass up this night. Let's do something about it.
And I listened to the debates, and I went up to every single Democrat and I asked them about medical freedom. They all sidestepped me. They all threw faulty patriot science. One person said to me flat out, had never met me before, I would never come in between a parent and their child. And that is Eric Underwood, who ran against Polis 2 years ago, who was also just ran for the U.S. Senate, and who sued the Democratic Party. He just sued his own party for improprieties in the process.
That's right, I'm back. You know, I don't know if you know the story of how I met Leslie Scott. All right, I'm back. You know, I don't know if you know the story of how I met Leslie Scott.
No.
I was campaigning for U.S. Senate in Longmont. He said, Mr. Underwood, would you ever come in between a mother trying to protect her child? And I said no. I gave her an instinctual response, a very human response, a very honest response. I didn't have to poll test that. And so that's when I started to get involved in this. This was not on my radar. This was not on my radar until Leslie Scott pulled me aside and started bringing me in and educating me.
What's up, dude?
And, you know, I ran for U.S. Senate, and through improprieties through my state Democratic Party, I'm not going to be on the ballot for U.S. Senate. In Colorado Springs for that state Senate race, they try to correct it. You know, the state party leadership tried to correct those improprieties and put someone on the ballot, but the Democratic Party tried to sweep everything underneath the rug, and they kept everything that we fought to vote and for people like me to participate in this process. But I tell you what, I will be back.
Yeah!
Look, I'm a Democrat, and we align on this issue because I'm a consistent Democrat. You know, I can support a woman's right to choose, and I can also support a parent's right to choose as well. Look, to get on a high horse about big pharma, you know, especially with the opioid. You know, we got corporate executives now being indicted for pushing and creating this epidemic that we have in our country. But yet, we can't peel behind the veil of vaccine injuries and what. Now, I ran for governor in 2018. We wouldn't be sitting here right now if I was the governor. Because 163 would have been dead on arrival on my show. Right now if I was the governor. Because 163 would have been dead on arrival on my desk. So, I say this, I'm going to testify today.
Thank you.
We're going to testify. We're going to try to shut this thing down. You see, they may have stopped me from going to the ballot in the June primary for U.S. Senate, but they can't stop my voice in the halls of freedom and the halls of democracy. So I'm going to close with this. We need unity in this country more than ever. We know what's going on. Black Lives Matter, and I'm glad that this country's consciousness, and I don't know what if I choose, and I'm going to stand with you, and I don't know what my political future will be, but just know this. If I choose to offer myself up for public service again, I just want you to stand with me as I stood with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. All right, y'all. We got another powerful voice. And I will bring a fierce protector of her children and of this movement. I want to give her a minute.
Thank you. So it was really hard for me to decide whether I could stand on this stage today because my values are not aligned with a lot of the values that were presented earlier. I am not a Republican. I am not a Democrat. I stand alone because I stand for truth. I'm going to read the testimony that I'm going to give in here in a little bit. My name is Beth Leba. I am representing myself, my children, and my ancestors. I am a fourth generation Chicana Denverite and Northsider. I am a community organizer and activist who has spearheaded the 1 Billion Rising movement to end gender-based violence here in Denver. I have also organized with the Poor People's Campaign and have supported other Black and Indigenous-led movements, including Black Lives Matter. I am the proud queer mom of 2 fabulous queer and trans kids. My parents met and fell in love at North High School in the 1970s. My children have and do attend Denver public schools. My children were also injured by vaccines, leading to chronic illness and disability that has made their journey through school difficult. I have had to become a fierce advocate on their behalf, learning all about disability law and all of the issues concerning their right to a free and appropriate public education. I've had to file a complaint on my eldest child's behalf with the Office for Civil Rights, which found fully in our favor that a school discriminated against them. I take every bit as much offense to the provision in this bill that I would have to endure an education module to exercise my inherent right to say no to a medical intervention that carries risk. As I would to be being told the same thing to obtain an abortion. As in every other aspect of my activism, if this bill is passed, I will organize my community to engage in civil disobedience to an unjust law. This bill is discriminatory and a violation of my rights to decide what health and medicine mean to me and my family. I do not subscribe to the Western medical model that is an extension of colonization, capitalism, and white supremacy. Racial disparities in health outcomes apply across the entire spectrum of our healthcare system, including vaccine injury and death. I believe in centering marginalized voices and in listening to women, including the mothers who watch their children's health decline after receiving vaccines. I strongly believe in choice, bodily autonomy, and medical privacy, and this bill is in violation of all 3. I walked with my indigenous ancestors, and I will not comply.
Okay, I'm going to introduce you to a man from New Jersey, and they know how to get it done. The creator of Urban Global Health Alliance. Kevin Jenkins has been a tireless supporter. He has come to Colorado multiple times to organize, to meet with legislators. So I want you to give him your full attention and give him the Colorado welcome, Kevin Jenkins.
I can't hear you. I'm telling you I'm here because I love Colorado.
Colorado. I love the people in Colorado. I've been here several times. And one thing I want to do starting out is I want everybody to hug each other. Be human. Everybody hug each other. Send a message. Everybody back there, hug each other. Hug each other, everybody. Shake some hands. That's what I want to see. Send a message to the world that they're not going to take our humanness away from us. They're not going to take our voice away from us. They're not going to take our power away from us. Raise your hands and tell them you will not take our power. You will not take our children. We will fight against SB-163. Now, let me tell you what I want to send a message to everybody in this country. It's about hope, the hope that we can all stand together no matter what differences we have, no matter what gender we are, no matter what color we are, no matter what our beliefs are. That's essential. We got to send that message. So it's about hope. It's about hope that we can stand together and push back against this tyranny. Push back against these people that are trying to take our voices away from us. And I want everybody out here, from this day forward, unless it's absolutely necessary, don't ever put back on those masks of shame. Away from me. We are one family. They're trying to separate us. And we are not going to allow those masks up to stand and separate us. Not one of them. Now, today we're going to have a vote here. Now, isn't it interesting? On Sunday, where we should be praying with our families, loving our children, protecting our children, they're coming here under the cloak of darkness on the day of faith, where we should be praying to God to still our voices, take our bodies, control our lives, and we have to say no. No! 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 Now, let me tell you what they're going to say today. I've been in these buildings all my life. They're going to say, you know what? They always come down here, and they leave, and they complain, and you know what? It's a bunch of white people. Well, guess what? I'm a black man standing with every one of you white people. You understand me? That's what they say. We have the power. We're going to tell them what to do. But this is the thing that I'm most fascinated about. We put them in this building. Did we put them in this building? Did we put them in this building? So what we got to do, we have to take them out of this building. Take them out. Get rid of them. Today we need to start a movement in this country and in this city. I love Colorado. But today we have to say they have to go. Do you understand me? They have to go. We form the government. Do we form the government or do they form the government? In this city, I love Colorado. But today, we have to say they have to go. They have to go. Do you understand me? They have to go. We form the government. Do we form the government or do they form the government? Do we vote them in or do they vote us in? Now, let me turn their first job they're doing today on a Sunday. They're coming here to take away our protection and take away our right to protect our children. Now, that means we have war. Now, they don't think that you're ready for war. No, we're ready. They don't know they don't. You're not ready, because I don't hear you yet. Are you ready for war? There you go. That's what they want to hear. So now, the last part of my message, it was hope. And now it's about action. And we have to take action. We have to be here every day. We have to talk to our legislators every day. We have to put pressure on them every day. And if they don't line up with us, we're going to line up against them. I thank all of you. I appreciate you. I love Colorado. I love my family. And God bless all.
Introducing my friend and local activist, Michelle Matthews. Good afternoon, Colorado freedom fighters! I am here because I have been a Colorado resident for 12 years. I'm an investigative journalist, but most importantly, I am a wife and I am a mom. Come up here. Look.
that we call the shots, not them. It is an absolute disgrace that the people who serve us scheduled this hearing at a time when they deliberately tried to suppress our voices. America is a land of freedom, not a land of fear. Isaiah 31 tells us, be not afraid. Are you afraid? No! No fear. No bullying. No submission to these forces who are trying to subvert a sacred constitutional right for the religious and personal belief exemptions to resist the public industrial health complex. No! I'm not one to engage in profanity, but I agree with the sign over here that says, F. Bill Gates. And I know that the Lord will forgive me for harsh words. We cannot sit by, we cannot kneel silently while our children are being endangered. As a responsible, informed parent, silently while our children are being endangered. As a responsible, informed parent, each and every one of us standing here has to do everything in our power to stop 163. Make sure I can hear your voices. No on 163! No on 163! No on 163! No on 163! Garrett, 163! No on 163! They tell us that they are acting in our public interest. They tell us they're acting on behalf of our children. I have dominion and sovereignty over my children, and you do too. And if we don't exercise our muscles of civic and political engagement, they will hijack our children.
That's right.
They're exploiting a crisis, and they're very, very good at it. But if we don't draw the line here in Colorado, they will do the same in the rest of the country. We are a bulwark of freedom, not just for our children, but for America's children. They call us all sorts of names. Look at me. I'm a little brown woman with a big mouth. Right? They called me a racist. They called me, believe it or not, this morning, a white supremacist. Okay? They do. They call us conspiracy theorists, but guess what? Sometimes conspiracies are true. The conspiracy now consists of the public health industrial complex, elites, Silicon Valley, pharmaceutical companies, educational tech tyrants. They're trying to silence us on every major platform, but they will hear us. Raise your voices. Stand tall, Colorado. This is about choice. This is not about black and white. Look at this crowd. There are people of all races, all backgrounds, all socioeconomic status. We have an alliance that is very unique, and that is why the forces of evil and the forces of control are so scared. We have Democrats, independents, Republicans, limited government conservatives, people who are concerned about privacy rights, data mining, and the corruption of science and public health in America. They may have billions of dollars, but we are on the side of truth and light. Truth will always prevail. You can try and force us to wear masks. You can try to force us to hide in our homes. But we are on the side of the right, and we are on the side of God. God is watching over us. Be not afraid. And make sure you use this moment as leverage, right? We have to take the opportunity and educate
educate these public servants who have no idea, who they are serving. There is so much financial conflict of interest involved in this room. I drove up with my husband today. I'm doing this on behalf of my family and families across America to raise our voices and to make sure that there is transparency and sunlight inside this building, which we own. There is strength in numbers. Each and every one of you has stood up here against a tyranny, against fear. We are Spartacus, right? We are the Spartacuses. And make sure that you take this power, that you take this day and leverage it on behalf of our children and freedom against medical tyranny in Colorado. Thank you for coming.
Okay. Here.
So great, you guys.
Are you gonna? Do you want my hat to kind of cover it?
All right, get ready, folks. When you have a very conservative right-wing Republican, you cannot get farther to the right than me. I'm a Republican from Douglas County, and I'm very conservative. That being said, I could not be more proud to be standing shoulder to shoulder in a minute here with a Kennedy, with RFK Jr. is here to talk to you. And with that, please welcome Bobby Kennedy.
They had to wait till we had a pandemic, till a Sunday, with 2 days notice and no testimony. And we got to come in here with 2 days notice and no testimony. We got to come in here and testify for 2 minutes.
Okay.
And they're going to learn this issue in 2 minutes that you and I know it takes years and years of study. Because there's been so much effort to obscure the science, the facts, the evidence for decades about what's happening and the corruption. About what's happening here, that people need to have a child injured in order to get motivated enough to begin turning over the rocks and finding the place where all these cockroaches have been hiding for all of these years. I have 2 minutes to speak and to testify in a couple minutes, but I'm going to tell you a little bit longer story that I would like to tell the Democrats. Because I am a Democrat, I'm a lifelong Democrat, and what they're doing today is antithetical to every value that the Democratic Party has expressed in its 200 years of history. And I came here to remind them of the values that our party is supposed to represent. Somebody this morning asked me about how did we get here. Here's how we get here. I had 3 vaccines when I was a kid. I was fully compliant. Today's children get 72 doses of 16 vaccines. How did that happen? It happened because in 1980, CDC recommended the DTP vaccine, which is now banned in this country. And for 10 years, children took that vaccine. And there was a wave of brain injuries, of deaths, of encephalopathy. 1 out of every 300 children were affected. And the vaccine companies were getting sued. Why? All 4 of them had a DTP vaccine. And guess what? I'm going to do a little side note. the DTP vaccine was banned in this country. Guess where they still use it? In Africa. And it is Bill Gates' flagship vaccine. He gives that vaccine to 161 million children a year in Africa. And in fact, Bill Gates has used his leverage. He gives out $900 million a year to WHO, but he gives them his tax deductible, so it's you and I who are paying for that. And it gives him the capacity to control $5.6 billion budget at WHO and dictate policy. And he is dictating policies that benefit his investments in all 4 vaccine companies and his GMOs and Monsanto and all the other stuff.
Conflict!
So, what he does, most African nations rely on the WHO to support their health ministries and their HIV programs and many other programs. Well, the WHO uses that leverage to go to those countries and say, if you do not comply, if you do not give 90% of your children this DTP vaccine, you get no money for HIV or for your health programs. That's the leverage that Gates has. So they do it. And Gates says he has spent $10 billion on vaccines and he has saved 8 million lives, which is great. The problem is he cannot cite a scientific study that shows he saved any lives.
It's a joke!
And
Lies!
the Danish government looked at the DTP vaccine and said, you know, we've been giving this vaccine for 30 years. They banned it in the United States. We banned it in Denmark. Let's figure out whether it's actually helping African children. So the Danish government, the Norwegian government, and the biggest vaccine company in Europe, the Staten Serum Institute, put money together. They hired the best African vaccine experts in the world, including Peter Aebe, who has over 100 peer-reviewed studies on African vaccines and the best reputation. And they went in and they looked to see whether DTP, how many lives it was saving. What they found was that, shocked them, because all of those scientists were pro-vaccine. What they found was that the vaccinated children were dying at 10 times the rate of unvaccinated children. They were dying of malaria and bilharzia and dysentery,
Eugenics,
and all kinds of things that nobody ever associated with that vaccine over 30 years. But when they actually looked at the data, they found it was killing 10 times more people than the kids who were unvaccinated. And what did Bill Gates do? And the WHO, when they were confronted with that evidence, they punished the scientists. They silenced them and they defunded them.
That's right. Clear agenda.
Now, that vaccine in this country during the 1980s, these companies were being sued, and Wyeth, which was the biggest producer, went to Congress and they said to Congress, we are losing $20 in downstream litigation damages for every $1 that we make from selling this vaccine. And, by the way, we cannot make this vaccine safely. In fact, we cannot make any vaccine safe.
Stop making them.
They used this term, which ended up in the statute. They told Congress vaccines are unavoidably unsafe.
Yeah.
Like every other medicine. If you give it to enough kids, some of them are going to die. Some are going to get hurt.
Not mine.
So they said to Congress, we cannot make money in this industry, and if you do not give us blanket immunity from liability, we're going to stop making vaccines. It was blackmail and bribery at the same time because they were the #1 donor to Congress. Congress signed that bill, passed that bill, Reagan signed it. And immediately, the industry looked around and said, holy cow, now we've got a product. The biggest cause for every pharmaceutical product is downstream damages from injuries. They said, now we got a product, nobody can sue us, no matter how toxic the ingredient, no matter how negligent our conduct, no matter how sloppy our line protocols, no matter how grievous the injury to your child, you cannot sue us. There's no discovery, there's no deposition, there's no med malpractice, no mass torts, no kind of any suit. Oh, they said this is a huge windfall for us. Then they said, plus we got another big thing that most Americans don't know about. Vaccines do not have to be tested, safety tested.
Ridiculous!
The reason for that is an artifact of CDC's legacy as the Public Health Service. The CDC used to be called the Public Health Service, which was a quasi-military agency. That's why people at CDC wear military uniforms and they have military ranks like Surgeon General. The vaccine program was conceived as a national security defense against biological attacks on our country. They wanted to make sure that if the Russians attacked us with anthrax or some other biological agent, we could quickly fabricate and deploy a vaccine to 200 million Americans with no regulatory impediments. So they said, if we call it a medicine, we're gonna have to safety test it. And that takes 5 years, because a lot of injuries from medicines have long diagnostic horizons and long incubation periods. You don't see them for years. So let's call it something else. We'll call it biologic, and we'll say you don't have to test biologics. And that's what they did. So these companies in 1986, and now we got a product, there's no damages downstream. We saved $200 million on the phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 trials. You don't have to safety test it. Plus, there's no marketing cost, no advertising cost, because the government is going to order 76 million children to take this product. It's the perfect business plan. Well, there was a gold rush. All of these ridiculous vaccines were added to the schedule, like Paul-Offit's rotavirus vaccine, stuff that's not even casually contagious. And here's the punchline. And we saw that date, 1989, an explosion in chronic disease in this country. Not just autism, which went 1 in 10,000 at my generation to 1 in every 22 boys today. 1 in 34. But also all the neurodevelopmental disorders, ADD, ADHD, speech delay, tics, Tourette syndrome, narcolepsy, ASD, autism, the allergic diseases, peanut allergies, food allergies,
Cancer rates.
anaphylaxis, eczema, asthma, and the autoimmune diseases which everybody here knows about. You should not know the name autoimmune, but everybody here knows that name.
Wake up!
Now, juvenile diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis. In 1940, 6% of American children had chronic disease. In 1986, according to HHS, 12.8%, a huge rise. In 1989, if you were born in that generation, your chance of having an autoimmune disease is 54%.
Oh my God.
This is the sickest generation in American history.
What's in that?
And I'll say one other thing, which is this, that all of these new diseases that suddenly appeared, what do they have and became epidemic? What do they all have in common?
Vaccines.
One thing, they are all listed as side effects on the manufacturer's inserts of those 72 vaccines. Oh, There's 420 illnesses listed on those inserts. And it is the only place where they tell the truth. Why? Because under the Vaccine Act, the only way you can sue a vaccine company is if they know of an injury that's caused by their product and they fail to list it on their insert. It's the only place they tell the truth. And Paul Offit and Peter Hotez will tell you, well, they just put everything on there just for self-protection. Not true. The Code of Federal Regulations says that FDI cannot allow any injury to be placed on that list, that manufacturer's insert, unless FDA believes there is significant and substantial evidence to indicate that it was caused by the vaccine. So they won't put it there unless they believe that the vaccine caused it. And here's the ultimate punchline. These companies, Merck, Sanofi, GSK, Pfizer, those companies are making $50 billion a year selling our children these 72 doses of vaccines before the age of 18. But they are making $500 billion a year selling us the $600 EpiPens, the albuterol inhalers, the diabetes medication, the Adderall, the Concerta, the Ritalin, the anti-seizure medications, and all these medications that are specifically targeted to treat the diseases that are listed as vaccine side effects that are now epidemic among our children. So they're making $60 billion on the vaccine, 50 to 60, and $500 billion. And it's a great business plan for them, because they're giving our kids the illnesses and they're selling them the treatment for life. And if your child gets measles, what's the treatment? I had 11 brothers and sisters. We cheered when we got measles. We got to stay home for the week. And what was the treatment? Chicken soup and vitamin A. What do those things have in common? They can't be patented. Nobody's making money on them. But if you can give that kid that MMR vaccine and now he has lifetime Crohn's disease, or IBS, or seizure disorder, or epilepsy, or any of the 100 injuries that are listed as side effects, you now have a lifetime client, a customer who is buying high-margin medications from you for the rest of your life. This is the perfect business plan.
It's criminal!
And it is the most criminal plan and criminal scheme that we have ever seen in human history. And I want to remind these Democrats that these companies, the 4 companies who they are now genuflecting to, those 4 companies are all convicted felons.
That's right!
Over the past 10 years, those companies collectively have paid $35 billion in criminal penalties, in damages, for falsifying science, for defrauding regulators, for lying to doctors, for killing hundreds of thousands of Americans. Vioxx, which was Merck's product till 2006, their flagship blockbuster drug, killed between 120,000 and 500,000 Americans. It was a headache pill that they marketed as a headache pill, and they knew it caused heart attacks. They didn't tell anybody. Now, most of those people, they knew it from their clinical trials that it was going to kill people.
They don't care.
And during the litigation against them on Vioxx, we got a hold of documents, spreadsheets from their bean counters that showed we're going to kill these people. We'll still make money because we're going to sell so much of this stuff. But they did not give their customers informed choice. Because they didn't tell anybody you could die of heart attack. Most of those people who took that Vioxx, if they had been told it can kill you from a heart attack, would have probably said, I think I'll take an aspirin. And Merck did not give them that choice. Now, how doesn't it require a kind of cognitive dissonance for us to believe that these same companies that lie, cheat, steal, and murder, it is their business plan.
Yes, yes.
That they are lying to us on every subject except vaccines. And vaccines are the only way they can never get caught, because all of those criminal cases were brought by the U.S. Attorney because a private plaintiff's attorney sued that company on behalf of an injured client, found incriminating criminal behavior during discovery, walked those documents down to the U.S. Attorney's office, and said, you ought to prosecute him. The only place that can never happen is with vaccines. Oh, how do my Democratic friends believe that these companies are somehow found Jesus when it comes to vaccines? Now, I want to remind my friends in there of some of the things that the Democratic Party used to stand for, like, let's listen to women. Were we supposed to start doing that last year when Harvey Weinstein got elected, got arrested? Were we supposed to say, let's start listening to these ladies? They may know something. They may be telling the truth. Well, there's 3 million kids with autism now in our country.
Yes, I teach you.
And according to 2 studies, between 40 and 70% of those women believe that their child was injured by that vaccine.
That's right.
Shouldn't we be listening to those? Listen, if one woman says it to you, she could be wrong. If 10 say it to you, maybe you should start listening. If 10,000 say it to you, something is wrong with you if you're not listening. What about my body, my choice? Whatever happened to that? Is that only good when it comes to abortion? Or does it apply across the board? What about jury trials? Shouldn't we have those when a corporation injures us? It is the 7th Amendment of the Constitution. What about...
Don't forget the dads. They're waking up too.
I'm talking about the dads too. Let's give it a big hand for the dads. And thank you. And what about religious freedom? And what about standing up to the bullies and standing up against corporate power? And what about let's not govern this country through fear? Are we supposed to be the home of the free and the land of the brave? And the reason that we're the land of the brave is because the reason that we're a home of the free is because we are the land of the brave. And what did FDR tell the modern Democrats was the only thing we had to fear? Exactly. And so why is the Democratic Party, which has always been the party of openness and of courage and of willingness to try new things and to willingness to dissect and to debate, why are they the ones who are governing by free? And finally, what about censorship? Why can't we have this debate openly? Why are they scared of telling the truth to the American people? I want to tell you, this is the most important issue. I've spent my life trying to protect the environment.
Thank you.
For me, that has consumed my life. But I had to direct my energies to this issue because this issue is beyond anything I ever conceived of. We would be taking our little baby children and injuring them to make money by these pharmaceutical companies and turning our nation into slaves to pharma. I'm here to tell them we are not going to do this. We are not going to
Make some noise for Bobby Kennedy, everybody!
Everybody kind of squeezed into the middle and put your arm up and put your signs up high.
All right, I'm going off.
Bobby and other speakers get to where they need to go. They have to get to the committee. There's a couple other people that are going to talk to you guys. If you want to go inside the building, come around to the south side. There are no guarantees that you're probably not going to get into the committee room. But if you want to go in, don't bring any signs. They won't allow you in with any signs. Make sure you guys all drink a bunch of water. It's hot out here. We have 2 more speakers coming up in just a minute. Well, nobody's going in. Because while they're in there testifying, we're going to let them be heard. And then the opposing side is going to testify. And while the opposing side is in there testifying, all of us are going to make a lot of noise. I said all of us are going to make a lot of noise. Everybody, drink some water. Everybody stay here. If you want to go inside the building,
arrived.
That's to your left.
Hey, do you guys know if Andy's car is locked? My helmet, my motorcycle helmet is in it. Oh, probably
and
is.
I've just been told that we have waters and snacks right back by these trees behind you guys.
She hasn't gone too far because her books are right here. Okay. So she's nearby. All I want to do is put the sign in the car, her car, because I rode the motorcycle.